Degrassi. We're going to do Can't Tell Me Nothing Part 1. So basically what happened is that Katie like goes to soccer tryouts and she's like running around and she's like, oh my gosh, I have to be an amazing soccer person. And this one girl's like all up in her face and it's like, yeah bitch. And then Katie's like, no, and elbows her in the nose and she breaks her nose. And so she didn't get a call back right away and she was like flipping it out and she's just like, oh my gosh, they're not going to call me because they're going to think I'm violent and it's the end of the world. And her mom, who's in a wheelchair because of some kind of thing with like her bones or something that could or could not be genetic, they're not sure. It's just a disease thing. Is like, it's fine, just wait. And Katie's like, fine. So then she finally gets a call back the next day and it's like, yay, everything's okay. So she goes to her audition and then the same girl, not audition, tryout, the same girl who she hit in the nose has like this brace on her face, but she kicks Katie, or she like trips her, and Katie falls and she hurts her knee really bad and like, but she keeps playing, like she doesn't go sit down or anything, she like keeps going. She goes and talks to Marisol because Marisol went like scheduled like an open like night thing at the cafe at the school, and so Marisol comes and talks to her and her whole knee is purple, like it's just bruised and swollen and stuff, and Katie's like, oh, I'm fine, it doesn't even matter. And Marisol's like, okay. And later Katie like, she talks to Drew and Drew's like, maybe you should see someone or something, and Katie like goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, I'm not positive what it could be, but you should stay off it and we'll get you like an MRI, like we'll get some scans and we'll figure it out, and we can figure it out. She's like, okay, when can we do that? And he's like, we can schedule you sometime in the next month. And she's like, no, my next audition is tomorrow. Like, I need to know what I'm doing right now. And he's like, I don't think you should play, you should stay off it. And she's like, can you give me like some kind of Oxycontin or something? Or Oxycodone? She's like, basically asked for really hard drugs so that to keep the pain down so that she can play on it. And he's like, you're asking me to give you habit-inducing pills for something that we don't even know what the problem is, so that you could possibly make it worse, because you could play on it, you could tear it, and you could have walking problems for the rest of your life. And she's like, yeah, pretty much. And he's like, no, take ibuprofen, and if it hurts, don't play on it. And she's like, well, fine. So she goes home, and her mom already has like this disease that makes herself hurt, so she has strong medicine already. And her mom's like, Katie, can you bring me my medicine? And Katie's like, sure. And she gives it to her mom, and her mom's like, thanks. And can you put it away from me? And Katie's like, yeah. So her mom like rolls away in her wheelchair, and Katie like starts putting stuff away, and she's like, wait a second, I can take this. So she takes the pill, and then she goes to practice with Drew, and she's like, really, really good. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. And Drew's like, did you like feel better? She's like, it doesn't even hurt at all. And I'm just like, you dumb bitch. Meanwhile, Jenna is like, realizes that she left her songbook at her ex-boyfriend, what is his name? Casey's house. And she like texts him or calls him or something and is like, can I have it back? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he brings it to her at school the next day and like in like a shoebox full of a bunch of old stuff, and in the box is like pictures of like her and her baby and him, that the baby that she put up for adoption, and like baby toys and all this stuff. And she's like, why would you give me this? And he's like, well, it's yours and it was at my house, I thought you might want it back. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she's like really sad because she misses the baby and she feels like a terrible person for giving it up and stuff. And so then she starts playing through like these songs, and meanwhile like Jake is like building something in the same room. Jake, Claire's now ex-boyfriend. And as soon as they're just in the same room together, I'm like, they are going to get together, clearly. And Claire's gonna be super pissed because she's gonna be like, another freaking guy that Claire freaking stole from me. And I'm just gonna be like, he didn't steal anything. I mean, she didn't steal him from you because you broke up with him first, and it's just gonna be dumb. But anyway, she's playing her guitar, and Jake's like, play something sadder. I'm post-breakup, and happy stuff just is like, it seems phony. And then Jenna's like, you're right. So she starts working on like a new song. And then that's pretty much that. And then the other thing is that Tori and Tristan do these like webisodes or something, like recapping some show or something that they've been doing for like a long time, I guess. And then Zig is like, come hang out with me at the skate park. And Tori's like, okay. And Tristan's like, how could you ditch me like this? So then Tristan goes and talks to his older brother, who was Owen, who's a senior, who's all jacked in football and popular, and he's like, I don't want to be seen talking to you. They're like, but Tristan's like, you have to, you're my brother, I need advice. And he's like, okay. And Tristan's like, how could she ditch me like that? Blah, 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 blah. And Owen is like, well, why don't you just try to do stuff with both of them? And Tristan's like, because they're at the skate park. It's dumb. And Owen's like, no, the skate park is something normal people do. And Tristan's like, hey. And Owen's like, by normal people, I meant normal high schoolers, not straight people. So, like, establishing the fact that Tristan is gay. Which I kind of could tell because he acts gay. And, Tristan's like, I'll do anything to make her be my friend again. And then Owen's just like, just tell her that he said she was fat, and then she'll break up with him. So Tristan's like, okay. So the next day in, like, music class or whatever, Tristan tells Tori that he overheard Zig calling her fat, and she starts crying really badly because she's the worst actor I've ever seen, ever. Oh my gosh, I just really can't handle it. I can't. I want her off the show. Oh my god, I'm gonna shoot myself in the face every scene that she's in. Okay, he tells her that Zig called her fat, and she's all upset, and then he's like, after like 2 minutes of her crying, he's like, I'm sorry, I made it all up. I'm a terrible friend. And she's like, how could you try to break us up? You should have just tried to hang out with us instead of being a bad friend. And like, later, like, he like gives them both like an anonymous letter, like, meet me at the dot. And so Zig and Tori both go to the dot, and Tristan's like there waiting for them, and he's like, guys, let's all hang out and all be friends. I'm sorry about what I did. And then they're like, okay, I guess, that's fine. We'll all be friends. Yay. And so, that was that. But that's only part 1. So the part 2 of that episode is gonna, like, tell us everything about the whole Katie taking drugs and whether or not they're gonna be friends, or, like, if Jenna and Jake are gonna have sex. I'm pretty sure they are. I'm really just pretty sure that they're gonna hook up. And I think Katie is gonna get hooked on Oxy. And the whole situation is gonna suck for everyone, but we'll learn a lesson. Because it's Degrassi. So, I'll catch you next time. Subscribe, like, follow, post, comment, message me, whatever. Yeah. So, see you next week.